now be called to order for the regular council meeting of March 9th at 7:05, please. And we all rise for the pledge to the flag, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Stewart.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Conan.
Here.
Bullock.
Here.
Baylor.
Here.
Cooper. Here. Body.
Here. We have the approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
He's got to add some. Sorry.
Oh. I rescind my motion.
Sorry.
Mr. President, I
Yes.
would like to add under new business, $500 for a soil erosion permit for the bridge project.
That's over and above the permits that we already have
Yes,
on file, so I need to add that to budget.
yes,
Okay.
But it might have been.
But we're gonna,
but it's
we're
going to
gonna
come out
pay
of
it
this.
current year. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
It was the only one.
Anything else?
Anything else to add?
Sorry. I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
And I will support.
Moved and supported. Discussion. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. At this time, floor is open to citizen comments. Anyone in the audience would like to address the council?
Hi, guy.
I bet.
Ben, go back to his sense.
He wants that in the minutes.
Yeah, I bet. Okay. No comments by the citizens. There's no presentations tonight. And now we will go to the administrative reports, which you have in your packet.
Mr. President, I have a comment under, is that me? Yes.
Yes.
I have to bring you up to date. There was another leak in the ferric chloride room. I apologize, I'm reading off an email on my phone.
A leak where now?
Ferric chloride room, that's the second room on the the west side of that building, the grit room. It happened, it was found at 7 a.m. on March 4th. Becky has been informed our water bill will be higher again due to this. It has to do with not having heat in that building, which is going to be a budget item that I'm asking council to consider. We have not had heat in that facility for some years. I do believe it happened because the sun, although I'm not a scientist, the sun beat from the west that day. It was really hot the night before, and it probably thawed part of the pipe, and when it froze again overnight, it caused two leaks, one at an elbow and one at a shut-off. So at 3:30 when Chuck Bailey left the facility, everything was fine. At 7 a.m. water was running. So it was repaired. I believe it was repaired. Yeah, I think so. But he gave me a detailed report, which is in the clerical's box. This is the grit room where it smells. It's not the old plant, it's the middle building that has the problem with the heat, which was a boiler problem when Lyle was on, which was a boiler problem for me, and it continues to be a problem. So
So we need new boiler, is that it?
well, the problem is that if we fix that boiler again for $5,000, the pipe underground, it doesn't mean that it's not going to break again, because it broke between his commission and my commission. So we, at one point, had Kelly Smith looking at options, but obviously Kelly moved on, or I'm sorry, United Water moved on, and we were back to square, or, starting over again. So it was identified in the S2 evaluation. I have actually spoke even to Joe about it, but we hope to get approval from council to get that fixed this summer.
Are you able to, I'm sorry, are you able to use any kind of heat in that building, or is there?
We have electric heat that
Mhm.
plugs in,
Okay.
and they monitor them, but it wasn't enough. It's not 80 degrees in
Right.
those rooms from that little baseboard heat or portable
Okay.
heat system. It needs a
Then we have to be
An industrial, yeah, I mean, we do need it fixed, there's no
Right.
doubt about it, but over the years, where's the money gonna come from?
Right.
You know,
But we can
the-
use gas in there and stuff, or is it?
no,
That's
you
what I,
cannot
that's what I
use-
was wondering,
No,
if there's,
it has to be a it's a non-flammable heat source.
The
Okay.
one room is a non-flammable, I think the others are, and we have talked to a plumber about options, because I've seen an option up at Michigan State in one of their buildings.
Mhm.
There could be options with those other 3 rooms, but the point is we gotta get it fixed,
Right.
and we haven't had the funds or be willing to spend the funds, and now it's gotta be done one way or another.
So it will be a significant cost, so do we have any kind of estimates or anything yet?
I have the S2 estimate that's in my
Just
budget
the
that I gave
extra,
you.
or,
Yeah, that was one of the line items in what I gave you.
but we'll still have to get quotes, right?
Oh,
Rough
absolutely.
ideas.
That's just a, I found that the Giffels seemed a little bit high on what they were putting together anyway, so.
I'd rather have it in high than,
Yeah, but that's just, just a starting point. It could be higher, I don't know,
okay.
but we did have another problem.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Starr. All right, anyone else? Okay, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda. Approve the minutes, February 23rd.
Mr. President, I'll move the consent agenda be accepted as presented.
A second,
Moved and supported.
I have one quick question though. On the fire code, are we going with the Knox boxes? Is that in there? Okay,
That will be a technical amendment,
perfect, okay,
but that'll come back in April for council consideration.
okay,
First meeting in
okay, thank you.
Dennis, you have a question?
On the fire code, I have been in touch with Don and Alt about the review of that, couple of comments about it. I talked to Jeff about it a little bit. I'm not sure what council wants to have in there. There's a couple sections in the new fire code where it requires, anytime somebody sells a house in the village, it has to be inspected for a fire code or fire alarm. I'm not sure if council wants that, so that'll be a couple of highlights I want the council to be aware of.
What?
If you want to accept it or if you don't want to accept it.
Do you
How
have those-
soon would we have to do that?
At the public hearing.
The public hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, add the
we're not
amendments.
gonna, unless somebody in council says we're gonna go in that direction, we'll eliminate that, I mean, that's not.
That's what I want to say, I just wanted
It's
it
not
to be brought up,
something that
so, you know, at the point of public hearing, we'll be close to what you want, you know.
Well, sometimes I just don't want to add an extra item for a resident, you know, so.
Correct.
If it, I think some of that stuff they can do too. You know, so it doesn't really hurt them monetarily speaking.
Because in the past, council hasn't wanted it gone that far, and that's why we bring it to your attention. It was
Yeah.
something new to me, I didn't realize it was in the new fire code.
And it's in the code.
12,
Right.
yeah. It's a new thing.
Okay. Very good, thank you. Right. All in favor? Motion carried. No nays. No old business? New business, we're gonna set the budget hearing date. Joe, do you have a comment on that, other than what we've heard before?
It's gotta be done.
We need to get on contracts, get them going, and let's finish up on budgets.
Well, can we set it for tentatively, March 23rd then?
It has to be March 23rd.
Right, well, that's what I say, we'll do it for March
Why couldn't it be
23rd
March 3rd?
at 7
Oh,
PM.
you set a special meeting for the,
No, for you, to adopt the budget.
it's
It's
the
our last
23rd, the
meeting
next
in
meeting, the
March.
23rd is the last meeting.
Oh, our last meeting, yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a quick question, if we don't do sewer and water in that meeting, do we have to do another whole public hearing for those two budgets when we do them?
We've never not done them at the same time, so I
Correct.
have to be perfectly honest and say, I don't know.
Okay,
Jeff, would that take public hearing to do the proprietary thing?
I'm not, so the issue is we're not doing all the fund budgets.
I'm not sure yet, but in case we don't, I just wanted to be clear if we needed another public hearing when we are ready with the water and sewer.
I'm not aware of anybody kind of piecemealing it, so to speak.
Yeah. We've
I don't
never
know.
done it that way.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the direction I would go.
But we've got such big items on these budgets, there's been so many things that we've had to go over and hash over again and over again, that there is a good chance that we might be delayed on those, which aren't required to be adopted when we do the general in the streets. So, I can find out.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will
I think
ask.
some we probably
Thank you.
want to call, the state and just verify
Yeah.
whether, but I've never seen anybody not adopt the budget as a whole document.
Because does Michelle have to declare where the budgets are gonna be when you put the ad in the paper?
No, we just say budget.
Yeah, it's a
Never
budget.
Just say
define.
budget?
Oh, you know what, I don't know, I'd have to look at the public hearing notice. I have to be honest
I
with
think we
you.
just say the
It's-
2015, 2016.
I just wanna be
budget.
clear, I don't want us to say.
Well,
we're
I
doing
mean,
something we're
if
not
it's
gonna do.
different
But we
than what
will.
the notice says, then we just have to remove it. You know, we can, I know nobody likes to do this, but I mean, we may have to have special meetings in between.
Yeah.
You know, to get it done,
I agree.
you know. I don't think it's with Jeff, if it's never happened since Jeff's been here, I know it hasn't happened since I've been here.
Oh, I know.
It probably never happened
I don't
since
think
you've
we've
been
ever
here.
done
It happens since I've been
Yeah,
here.
yeah, so,
And that's as far as you can go back.
And I did talk to the auditor on it, and
That's
he says
dirt.
it's not recommended.
Right.
He said,
I
even though
just
it's,
don't know.
But they've always
Availability
said,
of tax
every
not-
budget they said that those don't have to
They
be
don't,
done
yes,
now,
and he
but we
already
always
read that.
have done them.
yeah.
yeah.
So, you said we're gonna, what's the,
Motion's there.
motion for the public hearing then, right?
Mr. President, I'll resolve to set the public hearing date for approval of the 2015-2016 fiscal year budget for March 23rd, 2015 at 7 p.m.
I'll second.
Moved and supported, discussion. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. We have some budget amendments, Treasurer Adair, please.
Okay, as I have reported to you earlier, that these are on the current 14-15 budget year. We actually are having budget amendments because they are so significant on the increases in revenues this year, and they are directly linked to the increase of expenditures. For instance, we have increased in the donated revenue from parks, which we had originally budgeted $0, but parks collected $2,300. In the police salvage title inspection, there we budgeted $20,000 to take in, and at the time I did the budget amendment, they had 136.4, where they're closer to 150,000 now. Zoning and planning had an increase, and this one will be a journal entry from the auditors, because this is actually in the current year that will get forwarded into 15-16 as part of their projects for the nursing home. And same thing with inspections. Our building trades, the electrical inspectors, plumbing inspectors, mechanical inspectors, all have got increased revenues primarily because of the nursing home. So with those revenues, it also incurred expenses. So parks, police, zoning, and inspections all had increased revenues, which for the first time since I have been here, the budget amendment has actually increased this current year's budget fund. So we went from $272,683.10 to an adjusted prior year fund, which is this current year, of $315,849.60.
I have a quick question, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
On the zoning one, the revenues are a lot less than the expenditures. Is that because we're waiting on getting more revenues in to offset those?
There will be, yes.
Okay, that's what I just want to be clear on. Thank you.
Yeah, I know it went up, and we all know it's pretty much the salvage title.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get too excited and now we don't have 315.
No, because it is that,
Just so
that
the
title.
public is aware of that.
Right,
But the one thing I noticed on the police expenditures, you had salvage title expenses and expenses incurred in the investigation. I thought the police did a fairly good job, I mean, past commissioner and current commissioner, but the expenses on that investigation. I would rather that line item say the health insurance, because that was, as chief mentioned, that was a 15.
look right up above here where it says bottom line. Rather than to do what the auditors don't like, nitpicking
Oh, I agree.
line items, that's why it says it's a bottom line figure.
I
So,
fully agree, but
And I can
are you
only-
aware of any increases because of that investigation? It seemed like they did a very good job.
they did,
sticking
there
within
was
their
There's
budget.
a couple things in there, but it was
some
under
office expense and
miscellaneous.
miscellaneous.
It was
Was
under
it-
miscellaneous.
But if I look at the expenses, that didn't, when I look at the budget,
That
that
was
didn't
not a
stand out at me.
significant portion
No.
of it, no.
What stood out was obviously the salvage title,
Yes.
and then the 15,000 healthcare. So
Right.
to me, I would put healthcare on that line item so that we know, or if somebody was to FOIA it, they wouldn't say it was related to
I have no
that.
objections if you want to pencil that.
Unless you think that's what it is. I think the
Okay.
healthcare definitely went up.
It's
and-
anything that's, if this is FOIA, it's got to include, well, my hand, I can't find it. It's got to include this to go with it because it references bottom line on the budget versus actual, and it would show everything that's in that
Okay.
line. But by all means, and when you make your motion, make sure that it includes health insurance, because that was a significant increase.
So we have to make all these individually correct? We weren't able to just make one for all of them? I thought we
Unless,
did one for all of them last time.
Yeah, I think what we could do, unless somebody has an objection where they want to divide one of the questions out, I would just read them as resolve to amend the fiscal year 2014-15 budget, and then just say to increase, and then just read them. And we'll do it at one motion unless somebody feels they want separate motions.
So we do all the revenues in one motion, not
No, I just
expenditure,
read
we just
them.
do
I
them
just
all?
Read them how they are.
Okay. You got that, Laura?
You're doing it, Sherry.
I'd love to talk.
I didn't write it down.
Oh,
Well, he says,
resolve to amend the fiscal year 2014-15 budget, and then just start to increase general fund, and then just going to increase, just read them each one.
Each account number.
yeah, just,
Just read each
And
one.
each, okay, the entire thing?
Each account number.
yeah.
Okay, ready everyone?
Go for it.
All right, to increase the general fund revenues of account 00674, Department Parks line item donated revenue by $2,300, bringing the total adjusted prior year funds from $272,683.10 to $274,983.10. To increase general fund revenues of account 00607, Department Policing line item salvage title inspections by $116,400, bringing the total adjusted prior year funds from $274,983.10 to $391,383.10. To increase general fund revenues of account 000479, Department Zoning line item zoning by $925, bringing the total adjusted prior year funds from $391,383.10 to $392,308.10. To increase general fund revenues of account 477-482, Department Inspections line item building, electrical, plumbing, mechanical by $10,335, bringing the total adjusted prior year funds from $392,308.10 to $402,463.10. To increase general,
463.
I'm sorry,
643.
643.10.
3, yeah.
To increase general fund expenditures of account 756-740, Department Parks line item combined items by $820, bringing the total adjusted prior year funds from $402,643.10 to $401,823.10. To increase general fund expenditures of account 301, Department Police Health Insurance, right?
Well, it's combined items, maybe just say all applicable line items,
Okay,
Under where combined is.
yeah.
okay. By $80,783.50, bringing the total adjusted prior year funds from $401,823.10 to $321,039.60. To increase general fund expenditures of account 400-801, Department Zoning line item professional services by $3,515 bringing the total adjusted prior year funds from $321,039.60 to $317,524.60. To increase general fund expenditures of account 370-000, Department Inspections line item, all trades, by $1,675, bringing the total adjusted prior year funds from $317,524.60 to $315,849.60.
Support?
Good job.
Support.
Thank you.
Thank
Moved
you
and
for not,
supported, discussion.
thank you for not asking me to read that back.
Any
what I thought.
discussion?
I'm assuming you guys read all the numbers, and made sure I did them.
Yeah.
If not, all in favor?
That's rolling.
Oh, that's money.
Yep. Cooper,
Yes.
Ballard,
Yes.
Sturris,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conan,
Yes.
Audie,
Yes.
Wallach.
Yes. Motion carried.
I don't know why I'm tongue-tied.
We have an article here, discussion of village manager. Mr. Starrett has addressed that issue with me somewhat here. So maybe he wants to make some comments on it.
Sure. What I have put together is 5 pages, and you guys probably didn't read it because I didn't get it to you in time. And I do apologize, and that's why I'm not asking for a motion at this time, but I want you guys to look at it and possibly consider going forward with something like this. Now, I use the word village manager lightly. I know some of you might be afraid of hiring a village manager, but some of the other communities, or one other community had what was called a deputy administrator. I think it was E-Course that was appointed. I believe that was even appointed by the state of Michigan, although don't quote me on that. And that person reported directly to the village council, or whatever E-Course is, city council. And that person was recently on the news because they let that person go because they weren't getting the information in time to council. My point is that there are other positions, not just a village manager. So I may have referenced what I call a hybrid, but something along those lines. The reason behind it, and it's in the first paragraph, again, some of it, this is lengthy, some of it has a lot of numbers. Because I am a numbers kind of guy, I always look at the dollars and cents. But the reason behind what I'm bringing this up to you for is because the recent street project problems and the amount of problems that we have within all our funds, the amount of work is getting cumbersome. I think above and beyond what a trustee was, what a trustee agreed to do when they were voted in. And in addition, as I said, that by having one full-time person, you lose the difference when somebody new is elected and you have the continuity, which we have some great people here who've been on council for some time, whether it be in different seats. Harry being the least, me second least, and then Sherry the third. You guys bring a lot of valuable knowledge, but unfortunately, we don't know how long we're going to be here. You don't know how long a hired person would be here either, but hopefully you wouldn't have a problem come election time and carrying over with some of these projects. What I think, if I skip ahead to what a person could do, I'm skipping over the dollar amounts because some of that will bore you guys. What I think I would envision this person doing, the general village manager positions or tasks, but some of the other ones would be that all information is documented. We are trustees, we make $100 if we show up at a meeting. Let's be honest, we do forget things. We're not ones to double check everything 5 times. Maybe we're not in every meeting. We do rely on our attorney and on our engineers to do a lot of this. And unfortunately, I would say that in the past, our engineer hasn't really been the best in those type of things. Nothing against our attorney, but the engineer, we haven't had that same. If you go back to the one project with South Fulton, we had Sue Bertram, I believe, with Rowe, and she did give a lot of information to this council. She really was an asset, a huge asset to this village, and we just don't have that right now. Backup duties to the secretary position, right now we do rely on the treasurer and the clerk when the current secretary is on vacation, or needs to leave for whatever reason, we all need to leave work early, we do rely on those two positions to backfill. There are projects coming up. We have East Main still, and Lyle, you've done a lot of work related to this project, but it'll probably be done before we even get anything off. But there's a lot involved in a street project, and we have West Main coming up after that, maybe within 2 years. We still have the Prospect Bridge and Teat Street, the actual work. We have the Brook Street repaving, which Lyle has been trying to set that up with our engineers. Again, a lot of this goes back to the engineers. I have a lot going on with the S2. Steve, I'm sorry I left you out. East Main. Bidding of engineers, we haven't even done that yet. Roads, we have sidewalks, we have the water tower contract, or the F&B contracts coming up next year. You can see all the projects I've listed. Non-specific, there's been rumors, I'm not confirming anything, about some development on the south side over by my subdivision. The future annexation comes up in conversation. Again, nothing's been presented to us that I'm aware of. Documentation by all departments. We're not the best on documentation. You want to see the sewer folder, it's right here. You know, I went through all my 6.5 years of files the other day.
That Michelle and I have on our desk. Thank you.
I've pushed them on, but do we have all the pipes documented down by Ed? Water, sewer, roads, Ed's in charge of that, but we need to make sure everybody has things documented. There's other things that I could list, but I won't bore you with the details.
You're not saying that it is not documented, you're saying that you're not sure that it is, correct?
Oh, I'm not saying that it's not documented.
Okay.
I don't know what
Okay.
it is.
All right.
And I'm not
That's- I
saying
wanna
from a clerk's
Clarify
standpoint,
that, yeah,
you're not in charge of whether or not there's a water main going down East Main Street.
right,
But
right.
we've had discussion, various opinions on whether or not we're redoing East Main Street water pipe. I'm not saying that you're not documenting the minutes or
Okay.
anything,
Just-
by no means.
Clarifying, that's all.
No, I'm saying all those kinds of things that we don't know where they are. We do rely on Ed a lot, and Ed has a vast knowledge in his brain, but we really need to make sure that these things get put on paper, or we're gonna get burned in the future. Grants, the fire chief came in here the other day and mentioned about the generator grant. By the way, he's supposed to give me information. We've communicated through Becky, but I still don't have anything. But those are things that we could go get, and we're not getting. Lyle, you got money from Morocco, which I have your letter in here.
Sure.
I still need to do that, but we're missing out on possible money. That was $25,000, if I'm not mistaken, back
I
in
believe it was.
whatever year.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, it doesn't, but the point is, there could be grants out there that we're not getting, and I don't know how to put a dollar amount on that. But in many times, these grants, as with the CDBG, they'll pay for the person who's doing the grant writing. But none of us have time to go get grants. You were fortunate enough that Roe presented to you the recycled tire grant, but had it not been for Roe, Lyle doesn't have the time to be going out and researching these things. There could be stuff that we're missing that could be a lot of money, we don't know. So I put those down as possible projects. But the bottom line is, how do we pay for it? And that's what I tried to explain to you in a bunch of number crunching. Bunch of number crunching. I'm gonna bore you guys when you're looking at it. Some of it I kind of touched on in the budget about whether or not we're paying too much in administrative fees. In the end, with my numbers, again, would be a maximum of the impact on the position, I forget what I came up with, about 32,000 at the max. And there could be savings elsewhere. No disrespect to our attorney who's present, but if we have one central person who's fielding all the calls, maybe we can reduce attorney fees, maybe we can reduce engineering fees. Past President Cooper, you were involved a lot in that North Fulton project. And think about it from that standpoint, how much you were able to save us, how much time you spent on that project, which, by the way, you only got $200 if you showed up at the meeting.
We paid her for that, so.
I'm not asking, this council to just throw money away, but when somebody's doing all that work and only making 200 a meeting or 100 a meeting for us trustees, it's hard to do that amount of work, and you save the village a ton of money by the work you did, and it's probably underappreciated by these residents, you know, just because they don't understand it all. Maybe we could have not been in that position had we had somebody who was doing that, making 30,000 a year or whatever the number would be. At some point, I feel like we have to get a central person. We're growing, and that's the next step. I mean, I know Elmont, when I was looking at Elmont's budget, they do have a village manager, and yes, it costs $100,000 with benefits, and we know we don't have that kind of money. We're gonna be looking at how to cut costs at the next budget meeting, you know? That's just what's gonna happen. But the amount of money that it's hard to place on this service that this position could provide, I don't know the answer. But I just think that the trustees and the president and maybe the clerk and the treasurer too, we're just doing more work than what we should be for $100 a meeting. You know, I don't even know what number would be good for a trustee, but it's just, there's a lot of work to be done. And I don't want to get burned by, I screwed up, not, you know, just saying, not dotting my I's or crossing my T's. At some point, we have to consider what's our next step. So I put numbers together to see if there was a way to possibly pay for it.
Have you called around other municipalities to see how much these people typically get paid?
Well, I can tell you, Elmont, I have their budget. The village manager makes 60, don't quote me on it, it's in here, about 67,000
That's
plus
Richmond, you
benefit.
said?
Elmont.
Oh, okay, because I
But
know
that's
Richmond
for-
has one.
Yeah, village
But that's
managers,
a-
if you're gonna pay a village man, or a city manager or a manager, you're gonna pay. I
Right.
mean, if they're not, you're not gonna pay $10 an hour.
And that's why I wasn't going the village manager route of getting somebody with a degree, because we probably don't have enough work for that level of a person. And I happened to find the regular council minutes from March of '04, when you guys talked about it before. I believe Clark was here, Conan, Curtis, who's not here anymore, Parmenter, Wolick, I don't know who else. There's one name missing, maybe two names missing. But you guys considered it even back then, and some of you guys had issues with how much the pay was, who the person would report to. Again, the way I understand it is that you would report directly to the trustees. You're working for the trustees. If I need work at the sewer plant, you know, for my project, you'd bill back the sewer plant for your hours. So the funds would pay for some of this cost.
One city manager can't work for all 6 of you. What if you want him to do something that's gonna take a month long, and he needs him to do something that's gonna take part of that time, or someone else needs something because it just came up and it's more
Again,
important than both of
he's gonna
these.
go to Ed.
So, yeah.
Who's doing it? But this is what's happening in any municipality.
But if there's a
He's
change
not-
in regime too, that's majority that will get them out too.
But that's what eCourse did. That person reported to the trustees.
I don't see how
If
one
I-
person
yeah.
can report to 6 bosses.
If I can, I mean, I think eCourse was in, they were taken over by the state, I can't think of what it
Yeah.
was.
Emergency manager.
Receivership, that's it, yeah, receivership, that's it.
Well, I appreciate you putting this much time and effort into it. I had obviously a little chance to really look
I
at it because
understand.
we just got it. But I will look at it. I think
Sure.
we should discuss it at least as a council.
Mr. President, Mike, I think you did a good job on this. The only thing I see is that I think you're awful low. And to have a part-time guy here, that's not gonna cut it. To be very honest with you, a village manager has to be someone that takes the vision of this council and puts it into work, okay? He doesn't answer, basically, he answers to council as a whole. But here we have all of our employees working as at-will employees, I believe. Is that correct?
Right.
Terminology? And that means that they work at the will of the council. A village manager's not gonna work that way. He's gonna want a contract and say, I want X amount of years in that contract, you know? Not being like a professional football player, but he's gonna say, okay, I wanna be guaranteed X amount of dollars per year and a severance and all this other kind of stuff. Because these guys that manage municipalities are a different breed altogether. They're not guys out of the field, not guys that have a pair of pliers or wire cutters in their hand. What they are is they're people who know how grants work. They know how to get grants. And sometimes their wages are based on the amount of grants that they generate for us. This is why many of our engineers have done this. That's why sometimes we pay more or less a premium, I believe, in my opinion, because they're actually finding the grants for us. Okay? And granted, we do this because, yes, that's how our engineers make money. Okay, we say, okay, you get the grants, okay, then, get us the grant, and you'll get the engineering.
Now, if you remember back when Nancy was here, we actually had this whole conversation
Yes,
before.
I remember that.
And Sue was part of the meeting,
Mhm.
and we talked about hiring a grant writer, because basically, just as Lyle said, they get paid from the amount of grants that they bring in. But Sue had said that you have to be careful with that, because you can trip over your own feet. And it would be, we're a perfect example right now. Even if someone was the best grant writer in the world, and he's bringing you grants and bringing you grants and bringing you grants, at some point you're tapped out and you can't take advantage of them anyway. So right now, we couldn't do another grant right now.
But a grant writer isn't gonna do what Mike's looking for them to do only.
No, but it's part of what he's bringing in grant money
Right.
is
That was a
Gonna
small
have-
portion,
Right.
to
paid
me,
for him,
is
and
somebody,
maybe someone else to.
Somebody to manage, like a
Somebody
project
manage.
manager, a program manager.
go back to like the water fund, the street fund. We're doing the street fund, we're talking about in the budget meeting. It was said that there was no water main under the street. And then Steve's like, wait a second, I'm doing a street project that day. Within this office, we didn't even know that there was water. Maybe there isn't, I don't know, I've heard various opinions since. But we don't have one point person to go to.
There isn't.
And then the last thing that I wanted to emphasize was, from the residents I've talked to about like the road project, I'm picking on the road project
Go
because
ahead,
that's going
that's
on.
current.
That's going on right now.
Right.
In another year, I could be picking on the sewer project.
I will.
The people want this stuff done. I
Exactly.
think if they had, I'm not saying that they're gonna have to pay more money, but if we were utilizing the funds to get the stuff done on task, I think they would be happy with, I would think they would say money well spent. That's my opinion.
I don't think you're ever going to guarantee that nothing is going to fall through the cracks, not even any kind of a manager is going to totally prevent that. And I think you guys should give yourself a kudos, because with the multitude of tasks that we've got going right now, I think we're right on track. We're not over budget in it. We've got engineers that are keeping us informed in what's going on. So,
We're working with really good engineers right
Yeah.
now.
and Lyle said, the engineers use them to their fullest potential. So, the ones that we have right now, I'd say are
The best that we've had.
starting to get right up
long
there to
time.
Sue.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
This is definitely something that's down the road. I tend to agree with you somewhat that we should, but this has been 10 years floating too, since our ex-president, Armada was here too, but it's gonna take a little while longer, I see, instead of just stepping out, branching out within a year or two or something like that, is the way I sort of see it. And, naturally, we'd like to have it today, and we can't have it today.
I think if you ever gonna do that, that if you're really serious about it, and it would be nice to have a professional manage the place. I do think sometimes they bring as many problems as they solve or may. However, I think you need to have a separate millage for it. You already have a general fund that's, so I think you need to have a separate millage for it, which would probably take a couple mills. And when you're talking to people about this, and talk about being more efficient, they should know, that we probably have to add a couple mills to that, to our,
trade.
and, that people may support it or they may not, but I think to do this, to hire a person, that would cost, if you wanna get, you're gonna have to get what you want a guy with a proven track record. So, couple mills, one mill gets you around 30 grand, is it?
30,000.
So, okay, 2 mills to give you 60 grand.
Or you could find a retired guy from another one that just wants to cut down on how many hours he works.
Yep.
That'd be nice. I mean, that'd be few and far
Yeah.
between. I mean, that'd be a good thing for us. Some guy, it's almost like a hobby for him, not that
Correct.
this job is a hobby.
Again,
But
you know, he probably wouldn't want to do it free, maybe he would, or maybe he'd want to do it for very low.
Well, you know,
But again, that's just the thought, I'm thinking that it would probably take a millage, but that's just my thought.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr.
one thing that I would not want is somebody who would think, well, it's kind of like a hobby for me. No. We've seen this. We had an engineer who was kind of like a hobby for him years ago. And I tell you what, I'm not saying that retired guys are not the way to go. But I would like to have someone to say, you know, I'm building my way into this field. I have this experience. I have a sellable trade to give to you. That's the guy I want. The guy that's wants to say, you know, yeah, okay, I'll use Armada as a stepping stone to maybe, who knows, East Lansing or something. But let's get somebody in here. If we're gonna do this, I'm not gonna go at this, as they would say, half-assed. I wanna go at this thing full bore and say, okay, let's get the best that we can afford. You know, I don't mind taking, you know, a Mercury, if they were still in business, or a good Ford over the Lincoln, or, you know.
You can find one.
Yeah, give me a break. So anyway, but that's the way I feel on it. If we're gonna do this, I don't wanna go with this thing half-heartedly, I guess, that's what he said.
But I can't see us doing it with the money that we have now.
No, I can't either.
I think we do.
I think we're gonna look at more than 2 mills, I think we're gonna look at about 4 mills.
Mike, do you think that maybe upping the hours of Becky would help alleviate some of that? I know we have a part-time, technically we have 2 part-time clerical, right? One at police and one at,
No, because then you have a full-time employee and you got to pay all the benefits.
or hiring in a.
That goes against what we tried to do.
I mean, in the short term, is there any solution that wouldn't cost as much? Maybe a temp to come in and fill in on a
But
few
you
things?
don't
or-
want some kid doing this. I mean, this is some big,
If you,
Detailed.
when you have the opportunity to look at it, I do apologize for the late coming
You don't
council.
apologize for anything for all the work you did.
I did have it going where Becky would take on more of those duties because I thought she knew the village, how it's operated, and bringing in more of a secretarial one where you wouldn't have to pay as much for more of the basic duties. So, but going back to how much it would cost, with this particular situation, I said about, it wouldn't,
no, it's not 32. Sometimes it's 38.
I went high on the high end, just so you know. I know it's less than that, but the funds would pay for a lot of this. The street project has a big street project coming up. They would be out there, it would be billed just like DPW, where DPW is a general fund expense, but as the guys are billed to sewer or water or street, the amount of money is allocated to individual departments. I could probably assure you with some certainty that Lyle is gonna, or Streets is gonna have a big portion this year. Water will have some this year, sewer will have a bunch in the upcoming years. So while it is a general fund expense, I think it would be, most of that would be allocated to the projects, thus the funds paying for it, eliminating us having to do all the work. Because the amount of work I'm doing for my $100, you can take this right now, I don't want it anymore. That's just too much, it's too much work for $100. It's ridiculous that anybody would do. And we can even go, and I'm not yelling at you here, but we can even go to planning and we go with how much Ben has made in the past per meeting and the crap he's been through and talk about somebody underpaid besides Sherry in the street project on the North Fulton. I think he would be also underly funded or underly paid in what Ben has done. So I think that, yes, there would be an expense. I think it would be incurred by the individual departments based upon what projects that particular project manager would be working on.
We just got this, but off the top of my head, would it be possible to assign more of these administrative duties to Becky and then bill the funds for it, but then possibly bring in a 10 or 15 hour a week clerical person that would pick up some of the duties she was previously doing that were simpler? that would,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not sure if Becky would have the background to do
Yeah,
plans and
sure.
drawings and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think she has that engineering background to
She's
be able
not-
to.
She's not,
Right.
she's not a home brand manager. I
No.
mean, you're putting Becky does a great job.
I think this
Right.
is something that should be discussed with her,
Yeah.
not at
I
this
think-
table.
I think at this time, like I said, I think the bottom line is,
This
it's
is food
money.
for thought,
And
and
it's
come back
very good food
ideas.
for thought, but in essence,
need
I
to read
can't
it.
see it coming up very, very near future. And like I said, it's probably 2, 3 years, maybe, if it could be sooner, that's fine. You know, but that's a lot of money, and we just don't have it in the budget right now. And, you know, everybody's complaining about their water bills or sewer bills every time they get them, you know, and now we're gonna have to be coming back to raising the rates on that stuff. You know, I don't know what else to say.
Well, right now, with the employee contracts being up, I don't know that it's fair to be looking at adding a position when they haven't even agreed on their wages yet.
Yeah, we have to start that too, so, you know, it's as such, it's getting to the 1st of April almost, and we'd
Well,
like
it
to get
needs,
that done.
it's helpful if it's done before budget's done.
And we've got an awful lot going on with streets. We got streets that are getting repaired, but we still got streets that are.
I think that's enough on the budget.
Yep.
Pardon me?
Mr. President. Email today.
Yeah.
About the
Yeah.
eight?
Yeah, the other
One
one.
question.
No,
So,
the other one.
as Dave said, Michael does a lot for the village council, so and he shouldn't apologize for anything, and I go along
Michael
with
does an
that.
awesome
So,
job.
Yeah.
I just think that needed to be said a little bit louder. But, and I commend you guys for thinking about this, but it goes back further than Nancy Carpenter, it goes back to Reverend Farber.
Absolutely.
So only Dave and I have been around that long. So, you do? No.
Yeah.
Well, Steve too. so
Really?
it's good. Yeah.
Steve? Oh, that's right, you were too. Okay, well, hey, so anyway, there's a bunch of us. So anyway, but it went back to Reverend Farber. But I think you guys are missing the boat a little bit. So I heard a lot of negatives. Forget the negatives. Talk about the positives first. What are the positives? Hit the positives and then talk about maybe why shouldn't, or what's this, but what is it? Michael talked about Sherry Cooper and what she did as president. You spent your first year, your first term, doing that road project. That was after the fact. That bill was over $200,000. You got it down to a little over $100,000, correct?
It's 96.
Okay, so now, if you
balance.
had somebody managing, I don't care, they don't have to read drawings, they don't have to do anything. All they have to do is keep everybody on task. There was a whole lot of stuff, there was sign stuff, there was this, there was, where all this stuff. You got somebody that's keeping track of everything. That doesn't have to be some big guy with a,
Someone very organized.
yes, you just need
Yeah,
somebody to
Becky is
follow.
that.
Now, if you spend $120,000 over that budget on that, and you're saying you don't have enough money, and you got 3 projects of that size coming up, come on. Smell the coffee and look at the roses. This is, it's not down the road, it's today. It's today while you got these projects, before you get into the Sherry Cooper, the next president coming in and fixing stuff. Do it before it happens. You've got the money. It isn't, it's an insurance policy. That's what you should be looking at. Not, I don't have the money, I don't know where it's gonna come from, but now we're gonna spend $120,000 over the budget on this project, $120,000. Pretty soon you're at $500,000 on all these projects. And you're nickel and dime stuff. And I think Mr. Audie is correct. I think you have somebody in the office that can do most of this work if you just ask her. I'm sure she's gonna want to raise, but you need somebody to follow through, somebody to kind of keep tabs of what's going on, and that's the biggest thing. The grant writing is great. So, okay, so that maybe comes on in the future to, but the projects that you've got are starting, when? Soon? So this isn't something to kick the can down the road, this is something to kind of look at. Again, look at the positives before you look at the negatives.
Well, there's been a lot of positives over the years, Mr. DeLay.
I'm not saying there hasn't been, I'm just saying over this project.
And I've said these councils in the past have done wonders.
Oh, and I don't, I don't mean to make a front to anybody that the council didn't do a good job. But nobody has, everybody here is basically a part-timer. You don't have, you can't be on, the street commissioner
and be on your job or anywhere else. You can't be on that job. You can't follow the contract. You can't follow the contract from day to day and change order to change order. You just don't have that much time. But if you got somebody just keeping tab of all that paper, one of the things that I remember from the road project of North Fulton was there was so much paper and nobody really knew what was going on. You needed somebody just.
No, the problem was is that paper was coming in and
There
it
was
was
no
not
paper.
being distributed the way it should have been.
Well,
Okay, I think we've been on,
Yeah, sure.
we've been onto these these lines, Ben, so, I think we take your words, Calvin, so.
But I have to say something, you said something when I think you thought I was saying derogatory things towards council.
No,
That
no,
is
no.
never my intent. I've always been very supportive
No, I
of this
wouldn't-
council
I wouldn't.
and what everybody does.
No.
And I agree with Michael that a lot of times you guys do, that's why I'm not on council. You guys
No.
do too much, I couldn't do it.
That wouldn't be correct. Okay, we're gonna move on to the, Mr. Ballard's $500 bridge project, please.
Thank you. We were notified today, Michelle got an email today that we have to purchase a soil erosion permit from the DEQ, is that correct, Michelle?
Yep.
And what had happened is they put this, somehow, Great Lakes Engineering put this into the bidding documents, and really the contractor can't purchase this permit. We have to purchase this permit. And this was, and after the fact, after they went out, so, the bridge project, I believe, has been let. And, so we have to purchase a $500, soil erosion permit from the, DEQ, Michigan DEQ, correct? Michigan DEQ, okay, so therefore, I'd like to make a motion that we, spend $500 for a soil erosion permit for the Prospect Street Bridge project.
Lyle, I've got a question.
Sure.
That encompass the bridge and the
Yes.
culvert for that project?
Far as
Yeah,
my
how about we
others I
say
know.
Okay.
Prospect Street
Prospect
project,
Street.
that's
Okay.
what
The permit allows you to work, is it?
No, 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 no. That, the permit allows them to work. They are a contractor. We, as the owner of the bridge, have to pull that permit. That's a state law. The contractor doesn't pull that like an electrician would. He'd come down, he'd get a permit to do your work. Okay, well, those guys, those contractors do not pull those permits. We have to because we are the owner of the bridge and the road.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, what is the purpose of the permit? Why do
Well,
we have to purchase?
Because it's over water.
Because it's over water and the DEQ and.
I mean, are we doing some damage to the land?
So no damage occurs?
Yeah.
Right.
No, silt
Right.
fence,
So
things
there's-
like that. Make sure silt fence is in place, make sure there's not erosion in the creek.
You know how they put up those little black screens, so, yeah, that's what they gotta make sure is there, and they come out and inspect it.
So this was originally in the budget, but we thought the contractor was doing it,
Correct.
now we have
Okay.
to. So it's not an increase in our budget.
No, it's no increase in the budget.
I'll second it.
Second it, okay. It's been moved and supported that we go with the $500 bridge permit for Prospect Street. Any discussion?
Oh, do we have to say that the street administrator signs on the building?
It's the street administrator and the president.
Okay.
Did you want to just put in to allow
President
the
and street.
president
street
and street administrator to sign on village's behalf?
Right. Okay.
Okay, any discussion? Not. All in favor?
No.
It's roll,
Gotta
roll.
roll.
Oh, that's all right, spending money, I'm sorry.
Ballard,
Yes.
Cooper,
I'd
Yes.
like to give
Stirret,
Yes.
Audi,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes?
Conan,
Yes.
Willett.
Yes, motion carried.
Thank you.
Up and coming agenda items. Anything?
Do you want to bring that back, Mike, or after everybody's had a chance to look at it?
Sure. Do we want that on next meeting?
Now, next meeting is the budget meeting, so do you want to
Public hearing.
wait until after that, or do you want to do it at that meeting, so it'll probably be a lengthy meeting?
Wait till the first meeting in April, maybe.
We have a public hearing the first meeting in April also.
I'll just make a motion go for it, you know, or something, I don't know. Wait till the first meeting in April.
We have a public hearing that night too. That's to adopt the fire code, but
Oh.
it's up to you if you wanna wait.
That one can, if you want that one.
This- the
I mean,
first
that's
meeting in
not gonna be
April?
that long,
Oh,
unless all the residents come because of
for the fire code?
knockboxes.
Right?
I know some people are dead set for it, so.
Any up and coming agenda items?
We have a budget public hearing at the next meeting.
Yes. That's the two items then, right?
Yep, I think so.
All right, at this time, let's citizen comments again. Couple minutes.
That's all?
How about one?
Hey, just as FYI, I've been thawing a lot of water lines the last couple of years, and I don't thaw water lines in Armada. So Richmond, Memphis, Romeo, so Armada's got a good system. I mean, that's, nobody's line's free, so it's, I do them all the way around and I don't do any here, so just, so.
So you don't jinx anybody.
Yeah.
What's that?
You
Thaws them, he thaws them.
Oh, you thought
I
so?
thaw 'em, yeah, when they freeze.
Thank
I
you.
think I've done in 30-some years, I've done one in Armada.
That's nice
Thank
to
you
know.
for that wonderful comment,
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah, well, it's a kind of a kudos to Armada.
I can bring you my camper if that counts.
Anyone else? Anyone else at this time? If not, council comments at this time.
I've got one,
Mr.
Mr. President. Last week, we had a water main break over on Teat Street. We had to call Telto in because the frost was so heavy. Bill ran about $3,600. But the reason I mention it, that street was paved over old pipes. I just want to let everybody be aware that we don't want to make a habit of doing that. Ed's had water main breaks on there, 5 of them in the last probably 6 years.
Where was this at?
South of,
On Teats.
Yeah,
Teats?
south of,
Yeah,
What's
so
that?
it's up, yes.
yep.
You know, I know we did that road probably 15 years ago,
all of that, 20 years ago. Before I was on council,
Yeah.
I think.
so anyway,
Thank you for the
just thought I would mention it.
Very
It's a
good.
little reminder.
Check the map with
Thank
the
you.
commission.
Ed got that.
President?
Yes.
I have one. I have taken a new job with the Township Association, and I've been traveling quite a bit. I missed a couple meetings here, so I wanted to let everyone know that I'm going to step down and retire from council effective May 1st.
What?
So I just can't commit the time anymore. I've been coming late to meetings. I haven't been going through and keeping a good, my perfect attendance record. So I wanted to kind of give us some time to do the replacement process and get someone up to speed, but May 1st.
Can you send me a letter, or was that the letter that you emailed me, that you asked me if I got your email?
That one, yeah.
Okay, I didn't get it, I did, just so everybody knows, I did not get it. Came after I left today.
So that'll start the ball rolling and getting advertising for it and getting someone.
All right, sorry to hear that.
Well,
Mr.
congratulations on your new job here.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Looking forward to my brick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I had one more.
Yes, Mr.
Can I go now? I don't want to follow behind Audi, but I have to.
Gotta be something happy.
My wife is mad about the Spencer Street sidewalks.
Everybody's mad about
They're
that.
flooded with water and 3 kids went home with wet shoes today and the parents are not happy.
Well, we're loose.
Easy solution.
You know what? It's pretty hard right now with all the snow we had. But we talked about putting drains over there and we didn't do
We
one.
did, yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Hold it, yes.
We did one.
One for sure.
We didn't do one in front of Ed's house because I would have known from Ed if you
We
did.
got 3. Right in front
3
of
drains?
that. Yep. One in front of the Bob Zart's, one down by Vic Zart's, and one by Ed's.
All right. Well, you got 3 kids with soaked shoes, at least 3.
How many kids walked
Still
out?
pretty rough time right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've got problems out in front of my side.
Yeah, so
I
high.
think a lot of people got water right now.
You know, I washed my car the other day.
Everything's
last night.
fine right now.
All right, so Mike, the minutes are gonna say that your wife.
I got it.
Sorry, Mary, nothing,
Okay,
nothing
let's,
personal.
any community events at this time?
Easter egg.
Oh, go ahead and say your.
It's me again.
Yeah, 1 minute.
The Easter, I think it's the 10th annual Armada Business Association Easter egg hunt is the 28th of this month. It's 11 o'clock at the fairgrounds.
And
Very
it
good.
is a great event.
It's a
Thank
lot
you.
of fun, the kids really have a good time with that.
Thank you.
Also on the 28th of March, Saturday night at the Knights of Columbus Hall Creek Center, there's a silent auction which benefits the Armada High School project graduation, class of 2015. $10 donation at the door, live auction for large items, begins at 8:30, raffle tickets for baskets, cooler cheer, 50/50 raffle. This is their biggest fundraiser for project graduation. So if you can make it, please come. They have a lot of nice things that they're auctioning off. So, good event.
So there'll be entertainment also.
Speaking of entertainment, on Wednesday.
Oh,
the
DJ
16th,
dancing, cash bar, and hors d'oeuvres. Sorry, that was smart.
Celtic Cross is at the library.
But
March
Wednesday,
16th.
the 16th.
We don't have a closed session tonight, so at this time it's.
The time is 8:04. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Sure.
I like that when you name your time.
All in
Yeah.
favor?
who seconded?
Everybody's
All in
closing.
favor?
Coleman
seconded?
seconded. Coleman seconded.
All right, go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
Hey,
All right,
hey.
good luck.